Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Diana Bitner, Chief Medical Officer and co-founder of True Women's Health. And we're here tonight to introduce you to our new providers, Megan Mouser, a nurse practitioner, Dr. Tricia Mueller, and you all know Dr. Egan. She's been my partner now for what, 4 years?
3 or 4 years now, yeah.
Crazy. So when I started True with Lynn Lebster, my business partner, it was always a dream that True would expand way beyond our original dreams. And I always said, I don't care if anyone knows who started it, just that True lives on. And here we are. I can't believe it that we're already expanding to more providers. Suzanne Pettigrew is not able to be here tonight, but now we have a team of 5. And last night we had an open house at the office. And one of the people who came, I asked her, why do you come to True? Why do you pay for concierge medicine? Why do you come to our office, and why do you see Dr. Egan? She said, I finally feel heard. I feel seen. I have accessibility. I text, and within minutes you text me back. I need an appointment. You ask when I can come, not tell me when the only time it is that I could come, maybe in a week. So, the fact that we've been able to find and hire Megan and Dr. Mueller is just amazing that it fits. The fun thing is she then asked Megan and Dr. Mueller, why did you join True? So I'm really excited to hear from Megan and Tricia after maybe Dr. Egan reminds us why she joined True about their story and their journey that brought them here. Celia, do you want to talk about your why?
Yeah, and so just to remind everyone, I'm the internal medicine side of our practice. And so not only have I started and worked a lot with our patients in the primary care space, but also I am board certified in obesity medicine, which a lot of patients have worked with me on weight management and trying to find the right plan for them to get their metabolic health in order. I joined True because a couple of reasons. One, Dr. Bitner and I both sort of agreed on our passion for preventative health and helping women find a plan that just wasn't the same cookie cutter playbook that we had gotten used to in sort of some of the big systems. And I joined True because I just wanted to be there for my patients. I was so sick of all these barriers being put into place that were preventing patients from being seen in my office. And I felt like they would come into my visits and then all of a sudden they'd be like, I tried to call 10 times and I couldn't get through. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just not how I want to practice medicine. So that's why I came. And I'm really excited to hear why these other 2 providers also joined our practice.
Megan, you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. And I can say the same thing, Celia. It was exactly the same for me. I think the red tape of a larger system was frustrating and patients weren't getting the care that they deserved. And we weren't able to get to the bottom of things that we needed to. So I'm so excited. Dr. Bitner, we've talked about True is really the care that every woman should be getting. This is how we should be practicing. So I'm so honored and so excited to join the practice, and I'm really excited to get going.
Awesome. And I know, Tricia, last night when the patient asked, you why you joined, I loved your answer.
So I agree with everything that you said as well. I think we all kind of had the same feeling. So I came from a large traditional system, and I felt that I couldn't give the patients the care that they deserve to have. So spending more time with the patient, they often felt that they had to wait to get in, and also that they just weren't heard if they were a new patient to me, that their previous physician wasn't listening to them and giving them time to discuss the things that they wanted to. I love to talk about prevention and healthy lifestyle. And I feel like in the traditional system, we often chase the disease and talk about it once you get the diagnosis rather than how can I prevent it or stay healthy. So that's kind of why I wanted to make a change.
Cool. And there's a lot of conversation around physician and provider burnout, right? And so I just love it that neither of you stopped practicing, but you thought, how do I want to practice differently?
Right.
And one of the things that we do at True is we have a checklist. We call the checklist waypoints. I know Missy's got a slide for that. So waypoints is a system that we're able to still help patients with urgent problems. We're able to, of course, deal with, things that might come up or stressful situations and really be there for people. But we always want to make sure we're addressing this checklist, that every patient is getting preventative care, preventative questions around these 10 areas of wellness. So as people come in, we created this so people would see what they're getting. It's like a financial plan, right? Like you go to your financial planner and you say, I want to retire with $1 million. We want to know what people want in each one of these areas. This was something that I created, hoping, of course, that it would just get better with time. Celia, what do you think about waypoints after a couple years in terms of these?
I think a lot of these things are not everything, but some of the things are some of the traditional things that primary care doctors think about, right? For women, we always kind of check boxes about whether or not they had their mammograms. But the big question is, are we taking that step deeper to really ask some of the bigger questions, like really diving deep into maybe a woman's family history of breast cancer and trying to get a better understanding of their risk, and using all the available tools that we currently have with some of the newer advances in technology that make sense to make sure that we're making sure that the patient knows all of her options, right? We have a lot of tests that are available, but maybe not every patient wants to do that, and that's okay. But at least they have it available for them if it's there. But it's hard to have that conversation, if you're just speaking globally and just saying, what about this? What about that? And, Waypoints really does provide a great platform to run through sort of these different areas that allows a woman just to pause for a second, think about where she wants to go in that area and where she's at, and then provide her with some tools that would make sense to sort of get her to her goals.
Yeah. And Megan, I know you've read the book a bit and had some time now to see this in action. What are your initial thoughts?
It's a great framework, and honestly, coming into True, not as a new provider, I've been practicing for a while, but just getting to know kind of how we practice. It's been an amazing framework just to help with that building block of where are we now, where do we want to go, and how are we going to get there? So I love that. It's been great.
Cool. Tricia, any initial thoughts?
I'm very new to this one, so I think a lot of these things traditionally I would discuss with patients, but I think it lays out an approach that allows it to be seamless. So we're all on the same page as providers, and it really allows the patient to kind of weigh in rather than, you're due for a colonoscopy, you should get it. Well, why should I get it? What are my goals as a patient? Rather than being told what to do, it allows them to ask questions and set their own goals, and allows us to be part of the team rather than dictating what needs to be done.
Right.
I always thought that it was such a bummer when people would come to me and say, oh, I just hate going to the doctor and I don't want to talk to my doctor. Right. And none of us sort of signed up to be doctors to hear that. And so we love that, women are able to sort of come to the table with where they want to go, right, instead of us just handing them this sort of checklist of a bunch of tasks that they have to complete.
Agreed.
And I really think that Waypoints provides the avenue for that.
Right. And I think it really covers all those aspects that women, especially in a transition, let's say going through breast cancer or in the midlife perimenopause transition, is really thinking about. And, menopause is that moment when risk starts to dramatically go up for all these, issues. And so, a lot of times women want to start with F in terms of phase of ovarian function and understand what is their phase. And then what does this mean for me in terms of my heart health, in terms of my sexual health? And of note, Friday is World Menopause Day. So we're really excited to celebrate that and bring a lot of awareness to this. Tricia, I love what you said about, the team using this. As people develop their life action plan, it's like we all can kind of come in where the last provider was. So patients don't have to wonder, if I see Megan instead of Diana, are they going to be on the same page? And this was not meant to tell a provider how to practice. You guys are already practicing functional and preventative medicine, but rather now we've got the checklist out of the way. We've figured out what you want. Now we can talk about it in your own style, in your own way. So I love how you mentioned that.
Diana, I would bring up too that, I've had patients already that maybe they haven't even been thinking about this. Maybe they've come in for something else and, oh, I should be thinking about good bones. I shouldn't ignore that until there's already a problem. So it's opened up a lot of great preventative conversation for people too.
Oh, cool. I always love the question for C, do you want cancer? And of course, if I don't get punched, on that question, it's it's like, of course I don't want cancer, but I'll say, really, have you committed to that? Do you know what maybe habits might be increasing it? Is it, the 10 alcohol drinks a week that might increase your risk more than 3 would? Is it taking charge and knowing, like, your mom had breast cancer, did she have genetics? So anyways, it's really to put it on paper, and then people get their binder and they have it to take home with them to say, okay, like, what did we actually talk about and what's our plan?
Yeah.
So sexual health is always a fun one to talk about too. A patient recently, her most bothersome symptom was, my sex drive has just gone in the tank. And so pulling out the sexual health, pulling out the sex debt, going through all the possible reasons, she's like, I just thought I was broken. I didn't know that there's 27 potential reasons for low sexual desire. So it just makes it easier to talk about.
Yeah.
I definitely think from I think it's so helpful, especially when talking about obesity, to sort of wrap in also, heart disease and diabetes, because weight management is just so much more than just trying to get to that certain number, which we've talked a lot about sort of in our office and continue to want to talk about. And I think it's also just so helpful to sort of bridge the gap between thinking about our weight as, yes, it's important to sort of have that number be lower, but what is the real driving force behind trying to lose weight? It's really to try to live longer, right? And to have more function.
Right. And some people might be okay, let's say, with a body composition of maybe less muscle mass, or they don't want to do what it might take to lose weight, but they want to be more active. And so then they might say, okay, maybe I do want to have more muscle mass so I can be more active. It's not for any other reason. Or we think about ease of coping. If eating is one of their ways of coping, are there other tools that you could use to cope instead of, noshing on, whatever at 10 o'clock at night? So it's thinking about why we do things. Oh, Mindy, I love this question or statement rather. Mindy says, I never realized that insulin resistance comes with perimenopause and menopause. And this is just a perfect example of putting it together with phase of ovarian function and diabetes risk, right? Celia, I think that was a fun light bulb for us. Like, I'd love to hear all your thoughts about the medical issues that come with perimenopause and menopause.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we first started talking, we realized sort of our overlap of, metabolic health, or sort of our body's ability to process sugar and fats in our blood, and how there was sort of this void of conversation about it, right? We kind of all saw that it happened, and you guys, the gynecologists and the menopause doctors sort of saw that it happened. The obesity medicine doctors would note that it happened, but no one sort of had brought it together in one place to sort of help these women all in sort of one capacity. And so that's what we've really loved doing, and sort of spreading that message that it's so important to think about this sort of simultaneously. And it's been really fun to even teach each other how we teach patients. Of course, Dr. Bitner and I can speak medically about this, and we can talk about papers, but that's not as helpful sometimes to a patient in the room. And so it is sort of fun to exchange different wording and pictures and all the fun things that we like to do for our patients to get them to understand what we're talking about, and then have them feel inspired to maybe make some changes.
I can't wait to learn from Megan and Tricia how they do it. Like, again, we all get better. How have you guys talked about this in your practice?
I have not seen any patients yet, so I have not been able to
prior practice.
Yes. So it's just really fun. And Mindy, I love you bringing that up. And if anybody else out listening too, you want to ask our providers any questions or ask us more about True, please feel free to chime in. Megan, I'd love to hear a bit more about your story about why you became a nurse practitioner and what that means to you.
Yeah, we've kind of talked before about, I grew up in a small town in the UP, and, I wanted to kind of get out. And so I wanted to get through school, and Grand Rapids was my first job. I never really intended to stay here forever, but almost 20 years later, here we are. So I practiced a lot in the hospital setting, and then went back after about a decade got my master's degree from Michigan State, and I've been in family practice for 10 years now. So I am excited to see patients still, but I'll be honest with you, True is like beyond this is my dream job forever. So I'm really, really excited to work with all the patients, but you guys too. It's been great so far. So
Awesome.
awesome.
I know we were all sort of commiserating a bit because we've all had some time in the hospital. I remember it's a different experience, definitely. Yeah.
It is a lot of fun talking about commiserating, in the office. Before it was Suzanne, Celia, and I, and now like all of us were there today. It was crazy. It was pretty cool. So it's just a lot of fun to learn from each other. Tricia, what is your journey through education, and what made you want to become a doctor?
Yeah, so I grew up in the West Michigan area along the lakeshore, and I went to medical school in Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, which is out in Erie, Pennsylvania, and then came back to West Michigan and did my residency in Muskegon, and then have been with one of the large hospital systems for the past, actually with residency, 18 years. So, I love family medicine. To me, embraces the entire body. And I, as a DO, I consider the body a unit, and it all works together. And so for me, primary care is what I wanted to do. I was able to treat all ages. So I used to say from belly to grave, like from newborns to OB care to patients of any age. And so I love getting to know my patients. And so in primary care, I really feel like you can see family members, you can get to know the patient and all about them, and treat them as a whole person rather than a part of a person. And so for me, it's what I wanted to do, and I went with it. And so I'm super happy to join True. During my time in family medicine, I saw a lot of women going through menopause and realized that there's a huge gap in both the education system as well as care for those women. And so I wanted a place where I would be able to spend time with patients and do what I love doing, and allow me to continue to do that. And so True ended up being exactly what I was looking for. So I'm excited to be here and to work with you guys as well too.
Awesome. I know it was hard for you to give up seeing male patients for now. So maybe
males and babies, yes.
Yes, and babies. So we appreciate you taking the leap. So we were all going to share something that was maybe a little known fact. One thing I love talking about, and we won't get on cars, but I'm a car freak. And one of my favorite things to do is drive really fast, but I try to do this only on a racetrack in a race car. So I took my son and his friend to Skip Barber in Connecticut. And that's me after getting out of this 760 horsepower Mustang, and had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. Dr. Bitner, that's just what you say on the record about driving.
Exactly. I have no tickets.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And Pam, thank you so much for the kind thoughts about our services that we've created. We really work hard and think a lot about all of our patients, and continue to try to enhance our services as we have with sort of hiring great new providers. So thank you.
Thanks, Pam. But Mindy and Pam, all my patients, you guys are so dear to me. That's the other thing, is just we were very picky in hiring Tricia and Megan, because we care a lot. If I'm not there, I want to feel confident that you're all going to be in great hands. I get really cocky about how good I am at putting in IUDs, and I will trust all of you with Megan and Tricia. We really care a lot, and we want to make sure that you're all in good hands, no matter who you see at True. So it gives me shivers.
Absolutely.
Okay, Tricia, what do we need to know about you?
So I love anything that involves the water. So I grew up along Lake Michigan. And so I love to be outdoors and kayak and anything outdoors. And then I'm a huge football fan, both because my boys play football, as well as just growing up, I was a football fan too. So I'm usually at a field watching sports. In fact, I was at a football game prior to doing that for my son. But I love to be outdoors. I like to read. I like to cook. And I'm a huge dog lover too. So
awesome.
Oh, very fun.
You and Celia will have the football in common. I don't know, Megan, if
yes.
Yes.
I like to watch it and read, but I don't know much about it. So
Yeah. Megan, what's your fun fact for yourself to share?
Sorry, I lost connection, so I'm coming back. I have a fun fact, and you guys already know this, but my furry kids are my fun fact. So I have 2 rescue dogs. One is 8, and he's my spicy son, is what we call him. And I have a little 1.5-year-old golden retriever. So that's my fun fact.
awesome. And you said the spicy one is your husband's son, and
Yes,
sweet girl
he has
is
his genes, and the sweet little one is, of course, my daughter. So,
of course. And I see Lynn Lebster is on. She's our business partner, and we couldn't do this without you, Lynn. So
Certainly
thank
cannot.
you for everything you do.
Yeah.
You are here with us, even if your face is down there a little bit on the Facebook, but thank you. Yes. All right, cool. Why don't we get into, so whenever we do this, we always talk about 5 takeaway tips and then 5 things we would want you to ask your provider. If you don't get to see us at True, if you're too far away, although we're licensed in many states, but if you can't, then we have questions that we want you to be able to ask your provider. So why don't we start with our takeaway tips? We all contributed and we'll talk about ours. My favorite, I want everyone to know what is their phase of ovarian function. So these are things that I want you to think about. I want you to know either I'm in reproductive phase, I'm in perimenopause, or I'm in menopause, because we can't talk about it if it doesn't have a name. Tip number 2.
So what is the status of my metabolic health? Some of the standard playbook that primary care doctors get sometimes just doesn't dive deep enough. And if you're someone who maybe is entering the perimenopausal space, or if you're having a lot of weight gain that doesn't make sense, or you're having a lot of uncontrolled cravings, it can be helpful to, maybe draw hemoglobin A1C, even though your fasting glucose may not be high, or maybe look at an insulin level. So you should feel really open to asking your primary care doctor to dive deeper into your metabolic health to get some more information. I think the more research that comes out is showing us that patients have metabolic disease that can be caught way earlier than waiting till someone just has type 2 diabetes, right? And then we jump all over them and we talk about 1,000 things, but let's not wait till we get to type 2 diabetes. Let's try to sort of figure out where a patient is at metabolically before they get to that point.
And, just real quick, this reminds me, I think we all, just like our patients, we want to know why, right? Like people just want to know, why am I gaining weight? Why am I tired? Why don't I feel good? And I think that's just such a fun way that we get to bond with our patients. And Barb, I love your comment. Thank you. It's where we want to really get to know you. And what I always say is I want you to know more about your body than we do as providers. So, knowing about your metabolic health is key. So thank you for that, Barb. We just love what we do.
All right. Number 3. Am I a candidate for anti-obesity medicine? So, the internet is sort of exploding with all these new drugs that are out there for people to lose weight. Not every person is a candidate for anti-obesity medications. A lot of patients are, and you need to have a really frank conversation with someone who knows what they're talking about. Either your primary care doctor who knows you, or you can find an obesity medicine doctor in your area. There's a lot of new doctors that are getting that certification and will have a lot of good knowledge about anti-obesity medicines. I think what we don't want people to do is sort of seek out care from sort of the social media space, because that can just have a lot of sometimes mixed messages. And we really hope that people are seeking care from someone who has some sort of knowledge of these drugs, their side effects, and the complications that can come if they're not used in the right way.
Didn't we see recently there was an online group that basically, what is your weight? What do you want to lose? And that was the only stipulation or the only question to be able to sign up and get the medication online. Of course, not the FDA approved, but it's so important to see a provider who really knows what they're doing.
And both Tricia and Megan, part of the reason why we hired them on was so that they have been using these medicines. They are familiar with how to do it. And we really believe that, in addition to sort of the gynecological aspects of what we do in our practice, but they also can handle, working with some of the anti-obesity medications as well. All right.
Cool.
Number 4.
Megan, this was yours, I think, right?
yeah, what are my recommended screenings and on what schedule should I get them? And what are the next steps and what I should be watching for? So I always love to do preventative medicine. So kind of coaching people on what are the next steps in my health and what does that look like for me? And that's a discussion that we'll have together for sure.
Awesome. And thanks, Becca, for your comment. We love you being on our team. Couldn't do it without you.
It's so fun to also have your teammates excited to work for you too.
Yes.
And work with our patients. All right.
Tricia, this is yours, right?
Yes. Yeah. What signs and symptoms should I be aware of as I approach menopause, and how can I be informed? How being informed can help me prepare. So I'm a huge proponent of knowledge is power. So even if you're in the reproductive phase or early perimenopause or late perimenopause, I think it's important to have that conversation of what you might look forward to, because 100% of women will reach menopause at some point in their life. So we know at some point you'll go through that. So just starting that conversation early so you have some knowledge, so that when you do start to transition through the knowledge can help empower you and help you along that transition.
I love that. And also, just like with the obesity medicines, which there's pros and cons, not, many people are candidates, but not everyone. The same goes for hormones, right? So menopause hormone therapy, again, another reason that we've hired Megan and Tricia is that they've used menopause hormone therapy, MHT. They're comfortable with it. They know the pros, the cons. They're comfortable with the safety data. So again, we want to make sure that everyone is on the same page about these medicines and they know what they're doing. So, so important that we bring up this topic.
Yeah. All right. Those were our questions. What about our take-home tips?
Number one, know your symptoms and track your habits. So this is about the MTS. And so we've on our website, it's one of our resources and tools is the MTS. You can download it, take a look at it, rate your symptoms. Every symptom, there's 7 of them, is either a 3, it's easy, it's 1, it's horrible. And this is a validated tool that's been published in the journal Menopause. And then also tracking your habits, the seeds are the 7 essential elements for daily success. And knowing these seeds, number 2, utilize the seeds. And so it's all about what is my goal? And then how can I form these healthy habits? And it doesn't mean you do everything at once. We might just start with drinking more water and seeing how that affects your energy and then adding other aspects. So I think these tips are just the foundation of healthy aging, of good weight management, of good menopause management. And, we talk about these and track these in our practice for you guys. So just want to bring that home.
Yeah. And it can be even helpful to, sometimes we sort of get in a rut, like, maybe we're traveling a lot for work or it's going to be the holidays. It can be always helpful just to, at the end of the night, be like, all right, what am I going to do tomorrow? Which one of these seeds am I going to pick for tomorrow? And you have a lot of other check boxes with family stuff and work stuff, but even just picking 1 or 2 just to get going, I think is such a great backbone for women to be at, just as reminders.
It is. Okay. Number 3.
Your weight is not your worth. We talk a lot about this, and a lot of our patients that are even on medicines to help them lose weight, that's sort of the goal. We look at numbers and we think about it, but at the end of the day, you're beyond what you are on the scale. Sometimes our weight will go up, but it doesn't mean that you did something wrong necessarily, right? Life is life. There's times we don't necessarily when we cannot exercise as much as we had hoped. There's times when we can't eat as healthy as we had hoped, and that's okay. And the real sort of part of this journey is just sort of getting back on track and figuring out what we're going to do the next day and not being so bogged down by that number itself and kind of living and dying and making sure that number is just going to get as small as possible, which sometimes as women feels like that's how it should be. Right. And so we continue to try to optimize a lot of other aspects of your health that's sort of beyond that scale number.
I saw a patient recently who said, and she sees you as well, Celia, and she's on anti-obesity medicines. We're managing her menopause. She's starting to work out more. And she said to me, like, I've lost 60 pounds, but I still don't feel well. Like I still, like in my head, I don't see it. And like people will say to me, oh my God, you look amazing. You've lost all this weight. And she's like, oh my God, was it that bad? Like she goes to bad instead of, yeah, thanks. I feel amazing. Like I feel, and so now she's having what she wanted, but she's still, and we talked about this today. Your weight is not your worth.
Yeah. And the numbers are the numbers. And for a long time, it was the best that we had to gauge some of these health aspects, but we're learning more and more. And even in the obesity medicine world, they're like trying to expand beyond BMI. They're trying to expand beyond these numbers to understand different ways to measure sort of our metabolic health and our adipose tissue or our fat cell tissue that's there and its role in that whole circuit. And so I think we're finding more and more that these numbers, I mean, they're good to track and obviously we look at them, but it doesn't make up all you are as a person. And I think that's why the waypoints is so helpful because it's, body mass and body composition isn't like the headliner and the only thing, right? We have 10 other areas that are really important to also think about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Number
All
4.
right.
Megan?
This is wordy, but you are your best advocate. So you know your body, you're in the driver's seat. We're here to navigate with you, and don't be afraid to be honest and open with your provider about whatever you might be experiencing. So we're here for you.
We hope that everyone has a provider that you can have these conversations with, like that your libido's in the pooper or it hurts during sex or you're binging at night, right? All these things, right? You should be able to have a frank conversation with your provider about.
Or even smoking. Recently had a patient, she said, you guys are the first people who don't treat me with shame because I smoke. And she said, you meet me where I'm at. And that's why I want to keep coming back. She's like, I used to dread going to the doctor. Now I love coming to the doctor. Like, is this normal? Like, I'm like, it's normal when you come to True, but yes.
All right.
All right, number 5.
Make changes that align with your personal goals and values, not just because someone else suggests it. So I saw this a lot in the system when you only have a few minutes with a patient. We rattle through a list of things that you should do rather than allowing the patient to ask, why should I do that? Or they'll come and say, I hear this a lot, especially in the weight loss world, I want to lose weight. Well, why do you want to lose weight? Did someone just tell you you had to? I think we're more successful at setting goals and achieving them when we really know our why. And as a provider, we want to work with you to help you reach those goals, but allow you to be in the driver's seat and make those decisions along with our support.
Yep. Now, all of you out there, can you see why we hired Megan and Tricia? Please drop a word or join us in, congratulating, but welcoming them to our practice. And feel free to call and make an appointment. If you're plan on being new to True, feel free to make an appointment with Megan or Tricia to get started. And we just so welcome getting to know you. Anything else you guys want to add?
No, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I can speak for Tricia and myself, but we're really excited. So
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to years and years together. And Carrie, thank you for that. And Pam, thank you for that. We love what we're doing.
We look forward to maybe some new Facebook Live topics with some fresh minds and from some fresh ideas.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
And if all of you out there have specific topics you want us to bring up, please feel free to drop a line or DM us. And Lillian, thank you, Lillian. Appreciate that. Looking forward to meeting you guys, she says. Yeah. And Ina says, how long is your wait for a new patient? Ina, now that we've got these amazing women here, you could probably get in the next week. So feel free to sign up on the website. Go to our website, truewomenshealth.com. Sign up as a new patient, and then you'll be contacted by our team to schedule that appointment, and we'll get you in.
All right.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Yeah.
thank you guys.